Hello, my name's Steve Mills, and thanks ever so much for taking a few moments to watch this short video. I'm here today with Penny Lowe from Wellington Consulting, one of the leading accountants in Berkshire and also a business advisor. Penny wrote a book recently called Understanding Your Accounts, and without further ado I'd like to bring Penny into the conversation. So Penny, what is it about accounts and business people? Why can't a business person just leave their accounts to their accountant? What is it that you think that we as business owners need to know and understand?
At the end of the day, the responsibility is all yours as a business owner. So in the same way, if you were running a car, you might leave it all to the garage, but you'll decide whether they're going ahead with some of the repairs, you'll keep an eye on the tyres, you'll keep an eye on the oil and water, and the business is a bit like that. Although you can get a professional to do the difficult bits, at the end of the day, you need to understand what's going on so that you know whether it's still safe to drive, in the same way with the business, whether it's worth carrying on with it or not. I
understand, yeah. So I suppose, the old saying that, business is all about numbers is really the relevance here. If I'm running a business and I just choose to rely on my accountant to deal with that, then I don't really know my financial and I suppose, the important numbers to my business. Would that be the case?
Yes, whether it's a case of how much your customers owe you or how much you owe your suppliers. A lot of small businesses will keep an eye on how much the bank balance is, but not necessarily be aware of how much they're owed. And sometimes it's frightening how that can have built up over a period of time. So unless you actually keep on top of it, you don't know what your true position is.
Yeah, the key numbers to your business. And obviously these days there's an opportunity to get lots of information online and so on and so forth. Why is it important, do you think, for people to access the high level of financial advice that you provide and not just source stuff off the internet, shall we say?
Yeah, I know exactly where you're coming from. There's a lot of information on the internet, and in fact I've written various guides like what should be on an invoice.
Okay.
So, that can help a business. But if you're in a pub, you're not doing invoices.
No, sure.
Unless, of course, you're hiring out rooms and bookings and parties and things like that. And even then, you might not realise that you really ought to have some paperwork rather than just say, £100 deposit balance on the night.
Sure.
You need to have some paperwork to protect you as much as protecting the customer of yours.
Sure.
So, looking at what's available on the internet is a good starting point.
Okay.
But it's always a case of how that applies to your situation. So, as I say, whether it's something like an invoice, whether it's should I be a limited company, which is a common question I get,
sure.
Those sorts of things, it will depend on the circumstances, the type of business you're in, and other factors. For example, a car. If you are running a limited company and you use your car for business, is it better to claim business miles or to put it through as a company car?
I understand.
And it's those sorts of questions that, unless you actually sit down and discuss with somebody the pros and cons, you can't necessarily make the best decision for you and your business and your pocket.
I suppose what might be right for one person is not right for another, dependent on the size of the car and all those sorts of implications. So getting the right advice there is absolutely essential. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, one of my clients the other day, as many do come to you after the event, and was saying, he'd leased a car. It was for his wife, so there was no benefit to him. Well, his wife isn't an employee of the company, so one immediately starts to question why you're putting the expense through the company if the car's not being used for the company.
Sure.
But because it would be allocated via the director, because his name is on the insurance and things as well.
Okay, right.
It is actually a taxable benefit.
Yeah.
So, one needs to report it and pay tax, national insurance on that.
Yeah, sure.
Now, that's not necessarily a problem, but it's knowing that you've got to do that rather than waiting a year or so down, finding you've got a big tax bill and penalties.
Yeah,
because you didn't realise that. So, would it have been better to buy it outside the business because it's not being used for the business?
I understand,
rather than, I can claim a bit of that back, so I'll lease it through the business. You actually need to have those conversations.
Yeah, sure. So, obviously when small business owners are looking for an accountant, there's lots of different accountants around, some with different skills. What makes you different, Penny? Why should someone hire you rather than a different accountant and advisor?
One of the comments I get from a lot of my clients is that they understand what I'm talking about.
Right.
I try and use simple terms. So
Yeah,
in my
there's a lot
emails,
of
I will say,
gobbledygook, I think, and a lot of terms that us business owners don't quite understand, isn't there? Yeah.
so my emails may well say, bring in your papers and any other stuff you can think of that I might need,
Yeah.
and that sort of term.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is not trying to force people down an accounts route.
Uh-huh.
It's a holistic business route.
Sure.
So if they do want to bring to me things which aren't relevant, that's fine, they can have them back again.
Uh-huh.
But I'd rather have too much paperwork brought to me or on memory sticks, etc., than not enough.
Sure.
In the same way, I have an interest in my clients, helping them move their business forward. For some clients, that's not necessarily growing the business, it might be build it up to sell the business, retire from it, etc.
Right.
But to know what their plans are, even general plans, yes, you can do a business strategy, but it may be, want to expand the family, move overseas in a couple of years' time.
Right.
If you know that, you can build it into the accounting plans,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not the sort of question a lot of accountants would ask. They'd much rather look at the historic situation
Mm-hmm.
than help advise going forward.
I think one of the things myself as a business owner is having the knowledge to understand the accounts and the cash flow and the balance sheet and all that type of thing. Is that something that you sort of take care of and making sure that business owners can understand the information that you provide?
Yes, that's really what drove me to write the book, Understanding Accounts for the UK Business
it's a
Owner.
great title.
Because it is about understanding the accounts, even if the accountant has prepared them.
Yeah,
You might sign, but they're your responsibility.
absolutely.
So you do need to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And again, you can bring it back to very basic terms, simple to use everyday terms.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility. You're signing it,
Yeah.
so you need to know.
Yeah.
Not only for that, but for the good of the business.
Okay, fantastic. So if anybody watching the video today, they want some help, they're looking for an accountant, looking for some business advice, how do they get hold of you, Penny?
And the best thing that they can do is to either drop an email to my company, Wellington Consulting, and that's info@wcon for November.co.uk, or phone and I can get back to you, and the number to call is 0118 911 1202. That's 0118 911 1202. So if you go to the website wellingtonconsulting.co.uk or wcon.co.uk if you don't like typing too much, that's the way to find me, and the contact details are on there.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks ever so much for listening, and if you're looking for an accountant, give Penny a call. Thanks very much.